All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and happy Veterans Day. Sorry for the late start. We are having a little bit of technical difficulties. My name is Logan Long. I am the Senior Director of Initiatives at the Home Office. I am myself and Advisory Board member Danny Young, and then our Senior Director of Community Outreach and Organizational Wellbeing, Whit Zay, are going to be covering things today. The founders are actually meeting with a lot of the directs in Asheville right now. They're on day 2 of some awesome meetings, just doing some strategic planning and getting to connect with each other. So Danny is connecting back to audio now, but we'll go ahead and kick things off with leaderboards and then run through some announcements. And then Whit's going to tell us about an awesome Make-A-Wish Foundation fundraising event at the end. And then we'll kick it over to Danny to do his presentation on Get On It and Stay On It. And hopefully the PowerPoint will work. There we go. Technology is very fun. All right, so before we get into leaderboards, we had some really awesome record breakers for the month of October. So you can see those listed out here. Our total submitted APV for October 2020 was just over $12.5 million. Our previous record for that was last year, August of 2019, just a little over 12 million. So that one definitely got knocked out of the park. We also had a record breaker for new riders in the month of October at 1,754. We didn't beat that record. The last highest time was in March 2019 with just over 1,500 new riders. And then lastly, we had a record breaker for unique riders for the month of October with 392. And we hadn't beat that since 2018 when we had 365. So that is some awesome stuff. And you guys are kicking butt out there in the field. This is really awesome to see, especially with everything that happened this year and transitioning over to virtual cells. So awesome job. Our top 10 new riders for the week. Starting at number 10, we've got Jennifer Bradley, Michelle Campbell at number 9, Brittany Thomas, number 8, Mark Green for 7, Eiley White at 6th place, Jeff Miller, Kenneth Stoll, and then our top 3. At number 3, we have Constance Taylor with just over $5,000 in APV. Number 2, Lewis Hayward with $5,680. And number 1 new rider for the week is Mackenzie Bragg at just over $6,600 in APV. Our top 10 producers for the week by APV: at number 10, Lee Jedlicka. Number 9, Clinton Bedsole. 8, Ruth Slingo. 7, Eric Gurr. 6, Hader Istanbuli. 5, Mr. Tony Capistrano. 4, Sean Hogue. And then our top 3, we've got Nikki Soroka with just under $17,000 in APV. Number 2, Roneka Basham with $18,492. And number 1 top producer by APV is Rena Dixon with just over $18,500 in APV. Our top 10 producers by app count: number 10, Sean Pierce. Chris Case at number 9. 8, Elliot Freer. 7, David Albero. 6, Karen Young. 5, Rena Dixon. 4, Nikki Sirocco. And then top 3, we've got Tony Capistrano with 19 applications for the week. 2, Richard Long with 22 apps. And number 1 is Ruth Slingo with a total of 25 applications for the week. All right, we have top 5 Medicare supplement producers. So by APV, number 5, Brian Boyles. 4, Scott Forehand. 3, Kent Bachman. 2, Devin Fleming, and our #1 med sup producer for the week is Douglas Drake with 6 applications. That's awesome. Total APV of just over $8,700. All right, top 5 critical producers for the week. At #5, we have Cameron King. 4, Lee Jedlicka. #3, Andrew Welch. 2, Brian Kolkinski. And #1 is Tracy Albert McNeely with total APV of $5,422. Disability income producers, we've got Jeffrey Weitenheimer, I hope I said that right, at #5, Jordan Howell at #4, Donald Rains, #3, Allison Bent at #2, and our #1 disability income producer for the week is Ashell Reed. 5 applications and just over $5,500 in APV. IUL producers, so shifting over to advanced markets. #5, we've got Marty Valor. 4, Susan Nichols. 3, Roneka Basham. 2, Rena Dixon. And #1 with a total APV of just over $16,700 is Brick Bradford. Top 5 annuity producers. #5, we've got Mike Leidecker. 4, Heather Morrow. 3, Laureen Olganis. Retz. I don't know how to say that. I am so sorry, Laureen. I apologize. #2, Ryan Federico, and #1 is Debbie McKnight with a total of $300,000 in face amount. Laureen, I apologize. You're gonna have to email me the phonetic spellings. I can do better next time. All right, top 5 debt-free life producers. #5, we've got Ruth Slingo. 4, Steve Barnett. #3, Theodore Pritchett. 2, James Stevenson. And #1 is George White with a total APV of $21,920. Switching gears a little bit to recruits, our top 3 base shops for the week. #3 is Miss Miranda Martin. #2, Christopher Goheen. And #1, Mr. Marshall Wayland. His base shop had a total of 8 recruits for the week. And for the top 3 directs, we've got Sean Shannon with 19, Jacob Pogue with 22, and Mr. Hey Now Kevin Purdy with 24. New riders for the week for base shops. Top 3, we've got Chris Cook with 2, Tom and Nate Hall with 3, Mark Nadeau with 9 for #1. Top 3 directs for new riders. #3 is Jacob Pogue with 7, #2, Miranda Martin with 13, and again, Mr. Hey Now Kevin Purdy, #1 with 14 new riders for the week. Going into level of leadership leaderboards, I cannot speak. #10, Amy Falvey. 9, Joel Edelson. 8, Nick and Patty Compartore. 7, Brett Loftus. 6, Keith Fonesca. That's I think that's BJ Debt Free. 5, Nikki Sirocco. 4, David Albero. Then our top 3, we've got Christy Miller with just under $22,000 in APV. 2, Michael Sudhoff with 25,941. And #1 key leader of the week is Darren Sowers with just over $26,000 in APV. Top 10 agency owners for the week. At #10, Deanne Cox. 9, Jeremy Whitaker. 8, Jake Davis. 7, Marty Valor. 6, Lee Jedlicka. 5, Grant Lieber. 4, Rasim Tugberg. 3, Ryan Federico. 2, Jerry Cantrell. And our #1 agency owner for the week is Colby Setzer. I think it's Setzer. $43,886 in APV. All right, top 10 base shops for the week. #10, Tony Capistrano. 9, Larry and Ann Griffin. 8, Zach Little. 7, George and Janet Matthews. 6, Ryan Miller. 5, Michael Mascola. 4, Chris Menifee. 3, Chris Cook. 2, Kashawn Monteith, and number 1 base shop for the week is Melissa Weigel with $47,539 in APV. Top 10 agency directors, Miss Amy Fine at number 10, number 9, Jordan Shank, 8, Sean Kim, 7, Derek Brock, 6, Brian and Rachel Jernigan, 5, Robert Puckett, 4, Griff Martin. Top 3, we've got Mark Nadeau, number 2, Melissa Weigel, and number 1 is Larry and Ann Griffin at $97,284 in APV. All right, rad and above, top 10 for the week. We've got Kashawn Monteith at number 10, Kevin Purdy at number 9, Jacob Pogue at number 8, Brian Delaney at number 6, Ryan Miller at 5, Brad and Matt Smith at 4, Lynn Watkins for the number 3 spot, Edward Pritchett at number 2. These numbers are getting really big. Number 1, Marshall Wayland with $737,006 in APV. Top 10 directs for the week. Number 10, we've got Brian Delaney. 9, Mike and Jennifer Colburn. 8, Edward Pritchett. 7, Scott Mank. 6, Brad and Matt Smith. 5, Marlon Faulkner. 4, Jacob Pogue. Miss Miranda Martin at number 3. Kashawn Monteith at number 2. And number 1 direct for the week is Kevin Purdy with $230,480 in APV. All right, we still have our Riding with John Hancock e-bike contest going on. So these are the most up-to-date standings as of November 10th. So in the top 3 spots, we've got Alec Myers with just over $16,000 in APV. Nick and Patty Comportore at number 2. And the number 1 right now is Theodore Pritchett with just over $20,000 in APV. All right, and if you have not heard yet, we've had some mention of it in some newsletters, and they've talked about it some on these national calls in the past. Brandon and Casey's podcast, Lunch and Whatnot, is going to be launching soon. So they'll be taking in questions. They'll give advice on how to be successful in the business, something called Hobnob with special guests. I don't think I've ever heard that phrase before, but we can tune in and learn about that. But they are looking for some sales stories that are awesome, that you think should be shared on the podcast. So if you want to submit your awesome story, you can do that by emailing lunchandwhatnot@sfglife.com. I'll have somebody in marketing review that, and then it might be featured on the podcast. So be sure to do that. Our 90-day Directs Blitz is still going. All of these rules and prize information can be found on the contest page of the Symmetry website when you're logged in as an agent. Don't forget, though, you get that awesome retreat at the Lake House, Symmetry Lake House, business coaching with the founders, surf lessons with Casey. So we got that going all the way up the qualification period to January 1st. All right, and this is actually really, really exciting, and we got told to add this in today. They are actually going to be doing double production for 2 things, one of them being on the EARS, or equity appreciation rights, for the months of November and December of this year. And then, as you all are probably aware, we also have our Symmetry Destinations trip for 2021 coming up. So they are also going to be doing double production through the end of November, starting this week, counting towards that trip. So that's super exciting. All right, moving into upcoming events. This Thursday, we've got our sales training webinar with our VP of Field Sales, Todd Spivey. That happens every Thursday at 11, so be sure to tune into that. The link to join is on the conference call page of the website, and it also goes out in our newsletters. Monday sales training call on the 16th at 12 p.m. Eastern time will be hosted next week by agency owner Marty Vaylor and top producer Clint Bedsel on Rapport for More. And then what Whit is actually here to talk to us about on November 18th, which is also National Philanthropy Day, we're going to have our first virtual impact event that's going to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So Whit, do you want to go ahead and talk to us about that and give some more details?
Yeah, did we have a slide? Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So as we've been talking about over the last couple weeks, we've got our first virtual impact event to benefit Make-A-Wish coming up. So it's a week from today. So next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm noticing here, Logan, there are 1,500 people on the call right now. And what I want everybody to do right now in this moment is get out your phone if you're on your computer, or get out your computer if you're on your phone. If you're driving, please do not do this. And pull up this link right here, event.gives/Symmetry Impact, and get yourself registered right now. You can also, if you got your cell phone handy, you can text Symmetry Impact, all one word, Symmetry Impact, to 843-606-5995. So I'm going to read that number one more time if you want to get a piece of paper and pen and write it down. 843-606-5995. And you text Symmetry Impact to that, and you can get registered. You can go to this link. But I would love to see, if there's 1,500 people on the call right now, I would love to see 500 registrations by the end of day. I think we can totally do that. It's super easy to register. You have to purchase a $5 ticket. All proceeds go to Make-A-Wish. And I think most importantly about with this event is I want folks to, especially new folks to the company, to really get registered for this so that you can get a peek into our culture. We're not in front of everybody at a big conference right now like we normally would be, or coming up on our Symmetry Challenge event and our leadership event. We have all kinds of events that we've not been able to have. And so I think this is just a great thing for new folks and seasoned folks, people who have been here a long time, just to really, really get a peek into our culture. We've got some fun things lined up. We've got some entertainment that I think you all are going to love. That's really going to really show you, what our culture is all about and how we like to make an impact. There's going to be some of that funny stuff that Brandon and Casey love to add in. So you're really not going to want to miss it. So again, go to event.gives/Symmetry Impact and get registered right now. I really, really would love to see 500 or more, 1,000 would be great. But 500 more registrations by end of day would be awesome. So thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you, Whit. Lost Danny there again for a second, but he's coming back on. Give him a moment to connect to audio.
Hey, and you know what? While he's connecting, I will share this too. We've had a long-term relationship with Make-A-Wish, and they have been such an incredible partner. And we have a new CEO for our chapters, for our chapter, and I got to meet her I guess last week in person, which was really awesome. And she was mentioning something that was so fascinating to me, and it was about the pipeline, and this pipeline that has occurred, this kind of backlog. If you think about Make-A-Wish, the majority of their wishes for these kiddos are typically travel wishes. Most of them are travel wishes, and because of COVID and issues with travel, all of those have been put on hold, and so there's this huge backlog and also a lot of funding got pulled during the difficult times of COVID. I mean, just so many things adding to this backlog of wishes for these kiddos, and they're all kind of just hanging out in limbo. So now is just, I mean, they need us more than ever right now. And when she shared that with me, I thought, I should probably share this with our community, our Symmetry community as well. They need it more than ever, as do many, many, many nonprofits and partnerships that we all have in our communities. So please help us come together and really, really support them.
All right, Danny, were you able to get dialed into audio?
I believe so. Can you?
Woo! Yeah, we can hear you.
Unbelievable. Okay, go ahead.
Just in time, Danny. Well, thank you for being on the call today. We love you so much, and I am excited to hear what you have to say, because you always speak a lot of wisdom whenever you are on these calls or presenting anything. So I'll go ahead and let you roll with it.
Logan, I appreciate it. I apologize for some reason or another. We're having internet problems down here, and the hurricanes are gone, so I don't know what the problem is, but it all works out right, Logan. I got a face for radio, so this is perfect for me. So I can just get my notes all over the place now and talk to these people. Thank you so much, Logan and Whit, and thank you especially, Logan, for doing the leaderboards for me and pronouncing all those names. And I want to say one thing about the announcements. That double production credit for Costa Rica and the equity appreciation rights is unbelievable. This is a big, big deal, because these, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the equity appreciation rights in a little bit, but it's something no other company does. No other company does this, not for 1099 people and home office people. They just don't do it, never have. And to get double credit for 2 months, the last 2 months of the year, which are really two of the best months we ever have, is just a gift. So we need to make sure we take advantage of that, because there's a lot of people that will qualify for the trip and for the equity appreciation rights because of this. So this is, once again, just another example of what our ownership does for the agents here at Symmetry Financial Group. So anyway, I appreciate it. And I hate not being on Zoom, but this is the best I got right now. So I am Danny Young. I am direct to Symmetry. Happy Veterans Day to all of you that have served. We appreciate that so much. So we get to live the life we live, And there's a direct meeting going on in Asheville right now. I'm not there. I'm still in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but we had a 5-hour meeting yesterday afternoon. I was on Zoom, and we had a 3-hour meeting, almost a 4-hour meeting this morning. And I'm telling you, they brought the directs in. I think there's 32 directs. And for those of you who don't know, a direct is somebody that's on the top contract of 120%. And I think there's 32 of us now. But they had an incredible, this was an incredible 9 hours where they introduced a lot of new initiatives, introduced some new people that they brought on to help with all the stuff that we're trying to get. And this is big time stuff. I'm telling you, it is big time stuff. And they asked me, since I wasn't there, they asked me if I do the call today. And so I'm going to do the call today. And we're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but we're mainly going to talk about three of my favorite topics, which is, one is Symmetry. Another one is winning at Symmetry. And the third one is you winning at Symmetry. So let me give y'all that don't know anything about me. I'm going to give you a little bit about my background, because I think it's important for people to know where people came from, because you'll show up here and you'll see some highly successful people, and the tendency for some people is that this person has always been like that, or they've always been successful, they've always had a big agency, and it's just not true. It's not true. Everybody at Symmetry that winds up winning here pretty much has the same story. Okay, it's just that the only difference is we all come from different places. And I think it gives people hope when they understand where some people that are being really, really successful here, where they came from. And so I was the oldest son of two career school teachers. And I knew early on I didn't want to be a school teacher because they make no money at all. My dad taught school for 32 years. When he got in his 50s, he went back and got his PhD in education. And for doing that, it took him 2 or 3 years. For doing that, I think he got a $275 a year raise for getting a doctorate in education. But he taught school for 32 years, never made more than $15,000 in a year. So I knew I didn't want to be a teacher. And so I wound up, since I couldn't quite figure out how to make it all the way through LSU, I wound up in 1969. For those of y'all that don't know, I'm 73. So some of this will make sense to you. I had no college degree. I had no job. And I had a wedding date. And that was not a very good combination, especially when my future father-in-law was a deputy sheriff, and he looked at me really funny every time I go over to their house, like, what's your plan, And so out of desperation, so, from time to time, people do things out of desperation, and I've done several things out of desperation. One of them was I went and applied at Exxon Refinery here in Baton Rouge. And at the time, believe it or not, this was the largest oil refinery in the world at that time. So I went and applied, and I got hired as a process apprentice. And I was 22 years old. But my plan was to get married, go to work there, get married, be at Exxon, maybe, listen to me, I'm thinking maybe 90 days. And then a real job would come along and I'd be ready. See, I was a white collar kid. Well, Exxon is not a white collar place. It's a blue collar place. But that was my plan. So I went to work there on a Monday. Sandy and I got married the following Saturday. And I stayed 16 years because I got stuck. Like a lot of people in America are stuck. And the sad thing is a lot of them get to the point where they don't think they can do anything else because they've been there so long. Unhappy, don't like the money they make, don't like the people they work with, but they're stuck. And that's where I was. So I went from making about $15,000 my first year there. Actually, I made $12,000 something my first year at Exxon. 1970 was my first full year. And I got promoted to supervisor 8 years in. Still worked shift work the whole 16 years, but I became a salaried person. My salary went to $49,400 my last year at Exxon, which was 1985. And if you'd have told me when I was 22 that by the time I was 37 that I'd be making almost $50,000 a year, I would have thought that I was going to be the wealthiest guy ever in the Young family ever. And yet when I got to 49.4, I'm like check to check, hopefully check to check. And I couldn't understand why. I couldn't understand why my parents raised 5 kids on like 20,000 total between them. And I can't raise 2 kids on 49,000 something. And so there came the desperation. And so I went to work part-time because with a resume that says 16 years of shift work, there's not a whole lot of places you can go work part-time. But I went to work part-time in the insurance industry. Did not want to. But we had put our kids in private school 2 years before, and I was, we were just determined to keep our kids in private school. So as much as I hated to go into the insurance industry part-time, I hated more the thought of having to take our kids out of private school. So I went to work part-time with this company. I made $21,000 part-time my first year, which is just a game changer for us. And so here's a decision I made. After 13 months, I resigned from Exxon and I went to work full-time. I resigned from my $49,000 a year job with benefits and went full-time with my $21,000 a year job with no benefits. And see, that made no sense to anybody in the world but me. But it turned out to be the best financial decision I ever made. So I worked with that company in the insurance business, term and invest. I worked there for 21 years. My last year there, I made $195,000. Now, $195,000 is a lot more than $49,000. The problem is they had no leads. You know, it was either knocking on doors or recruiting friends and family and getting them to take you to see their mom and their aunt. Maybe they'd buy something from you. But the problem I had was I was, at that time, 59 years old. I made $195,000, but I realized one day that if I wanted to make $195,000, this was 2006. If I wanted to make $195,000 in 2007, I was going to have to do as much, probably more. And for those of y'all that are over 50 years old, you know that there isn't more. And so, once again, another thing I believe is that things happen for a reason. And about 2 weeks after I had that epiphany about having to do more, a friend of mine, young guy, 25 years old, wasn't even in my agency. He found something called mortgage protection. I'd never heard of it, didn't know it existed. He sent me a link to a company. I looked at it. I was okay with what they did. What I needed to know is, did they have anybody at that company making $195,000 a year at age 59? And so I jumped in the car and rode with this 25-year-old to Raleigh, North Carolina. They had a day and a half thing. It wasn't Symmetry. It was another IMO. They had a day and a half seminar. I went there and it changed my life. I found out there was something in the insurance business called a lead, where people actually invited an insurance person to their home. This was just totally foreign to me. And my plan was to come back, join that company, resign from the one I was at, get some leads, call these people, go sit down with these people, and somebody's going to buy something. And my plan also was to never, ever, ever recruit another human being as long as I was in the insurance business, because I watched at that other company for 21 years, I watched almost all of them quit over time because it was just too hard. Well, in mortgage protection, I didn't have to recruit anybody. And that was my plan. So I came to that company. My first month was October of 06. I wrote 14,500 by myself. In November, I wrote 16,500 by myself. And in December in the other company, you know, nobody bought anything. So all your people quit. You started over every January, it seemed like. Well, in December of 06, I wrote 21,000 something by myself. Unbelievable to me. And that's when I knew that mortgage protection was just a different animal. And then my plan to never ever recruit anybody went out the window when I had a guy call me the 28th of December. Heard I'd left that other company, wanted me to come look at something he was doing. I went and met with him and a friend of his, and my thing was better than their thing. So I left that restaurant with 2 recruits. Very next day, I ran into a guy outside a coffee shop. Hadn't seen him in 3 or 4 years. He had been with that company I was with earlier. He didn't like it. Asked me if I was still there. I said, no. He said, what are you doing? I told him. He said, you think I could make $1,500 a month working part-time with you? So I got him. And the next day I had a guy from that other company call me and said, the word on the street is that you're doing something that would be good for me. Y'all understand how good a recruiter I was? I had 2 people call me, and then I ran into one outside a coffee shop. So I had 4 people. I started January 1st of 2007 with 4 people. 6 months later, I had 100 agents. 6 months. I still had my 4 direct to me, but my babies had grandbabies. And so I went from doing 21,000 by myself in December of 06 to doing 107,000 in May of 07 because I had help. And it's been like that ever since. Now, understand, I'm telling you all this for a reason. I was there 21 years, but that other company made 195,000 in my 21st year. I was with the other IMO in mortgage protection for 7 years. I built an agency of about 45 agents writing business each month. They're writing about $250,000 a month in premium, and I'm making about $260,000 a year, all passive. I ran appointments my first 4 years there. I didn't run any appointments my last 3. I just built my agency. So I'm making $260,000, and I'm miserable because I didn't like the culture of the company at all. So I didn't go to anything. I didn't get my people to go to anything. I just stayed down here in Louisiana. They stayed in North Carolina. I left them alone. They left me alone. But I was not happy. But see, that's where I met Brandon and Casey. We became really good friends. Matter of fact, all 3 of us were direct to the same guy. None of the 3 of us overrode the other one. And then one day they were gone. Gone. From a Friday to a Monday, they were gone. I didn't know why at the time, but I know that I felt abandoned for one thing, because 2 of my friends left. And so they tried to call me every year, and I wouldn't take their call because, see, I was pouting. That's something we do down here in Louisiana. We pout, okay? And they called every year, once a year, and I wouldn't take their call until the 4th year. They called me in 2013, Brandon did, and I was just unhappy enough to take his call. It was like October of 13. And we talked for about 2 hours, nothing basically about insurance. And then we talked again, and I talked to him and Casey, and then they flew me out to Greenville, South Carolina. We met for a day and a half. And I tell you this, I need a lot of y'all to understand what you have hold of, because it is unbelievable. If you could see 2 things, if you could see how big this thing is, and you can also see yourself as part of that bigness, you can't fail. So I met with them for a day and a half. I came back. Look, they were 4 years old to the month. 4 years old to the month when I met with them. They had gone from doing $86,000 their first month in business, October of 2009. When I met with them, they're doing $1 million a month. Here we are 7 years later to the month, and they're doing $14 million a month. This is not normal stuff. And so I met with them. I came back. I resigned from the other company. I signed up with Symmetry. It'll be 7 years in about 2 months. I was 4 months shy of being 67 years old. And where can you go at that age and say, look, I'd like to come work with y'all. I'd like to compete at the highest level if I'm good enough. And that's what I got to do. So I went from 7 years in at that other company that does the same thing we do. They don't do it nearly as well or as much of it. But I built an agency doing $250,000 a month, about 45 writers. 7 years in at Symmetry, we're doing $1.7 million a month with 250 writers. Now, I tell you that to tell you this. I didn't get that much better. This is a better company. The ownership is incredibly better. The culture is incredibly better. The leads are better. The system and processes are better. Everything here is better. That's what some of y'all can do here. You can go from zero to hero in a heartbeat here. But see, it's not just going to happen because you're here. And that's what I want to talk about today. It's just not going to happen. You can't wish your way to stuff here. You have to do the things that will put together what you want put together. And see, over the course of all those years, I've been in the insurance industry 36 years. Over the course of those years, what I've had the opportunity to do is formulate my management philosophy. This is what a lot of y'all are trying to do right now. And your management philosophy is nothing more than you determining how you're going to build your business. You know, what's negotiable, what's not negotiable. For example, with me, I do a master agency call every Sunday night. Well, what's negotiable is when I was going to do that call. What's non-negotiable is whether or not I was going to do one. I was going to do a call. See, what's not negotiable is somebody doing things illegal. So you have to figure that out for you. And see, that's what most of y'all are trying to do. How are you going to build your agency? See, you have to find what works for you. And that's one of the dangers here is that you hear so many people say so many things about what they're doing, and you want to try all of them. And you're welcome to it. But what you have to do is find out what works for you. Look, just because something works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Your numbers will tell you if what you're doing is working or not. Your numbers. You need to live in your numbers, because you can't just keep doing stuff every month and doing more of stuff that's not working, because it's too easy to win here. And there's lots of ways to win here, lots of ways. But let's talk about why Symmetry to start off with, okay? Because understand this, when I went in the insurance business in 1984, that was the only part-time thing I could find. I mean, the only thing out there wasn't, there was Amway. I wasn't about to do that. But you understand now that you can go on the internet and find 10 million ways to make extra money. Most of them are not going to last. The vast majority of them are not going to last. The vast majority, you don't have to be licensed. The vast majority is not regulated. And you have to go wear out your friends on Facebook with all this stuff that you're doing. See, Symmetry we play in the largest industry, wealthiest industry on the face of the earth. So you see, to me, because most of y'all know this already, there's a lot of evidence. I'm a pretty simple person. I think simple, I talk simple. But it makes sense to me that if you want to make money, how about we start where all the money lives, which is in the financial services world. It's all there. Everybody else just uses their money to build their business with. So why not start there? But here's why I believe that Symmetry is the best business opportunity in America. First of all, you can build an agency within Symmetry for the cost of a license and the willingness to learn and work the Symmetry system. How cool is that? I don't know how many of y'all have had your own business before, but typically that costs you a lot of money. The profit margin here is unbelievable. So Symmetry provides the marketing. Symmetry develops the leads. Symmetry provides the training. Symmetry and the carriers provide incentive trips. And the carriers provide all of the money that we use to build our agencies with. So you can build something as big as you want, wherever you want, with whoever you want, as fast as you want, and you're using carrier money to do it with. Symmetry allows you to build at your own speed, to rise to the level you're willing to work for. And look, they're okay with whatever level that might be. You want to make $500 a month? You can. And you can do that till the cows come home. You want to make $5,000 a month? You can. But it's silly when you look at what some of the people here are making. People that have built something of magnitude. I've got people in my agency that make $5,000 a month. I've got people that make $50,000 a month. I've got somebody that makes $80,000 a month. This is silly stuff when you look at how long these people have been here. We've been here 7 years. See, Symmetry gives you the opportunity to stop trading time for money. Time is incredibly important. We all have the same amount, and you really don't know how much you have. But most people out there working a job are trading their time for money. Their feet are attached to their income. They have to be present to get paid. We don't. We can run business all over the United States, and you don't have to leave your house. It's crazy. We can recruit people all over the United States, and you don't have to leave your house. And we have a system that's so simple that you don't have to babysit new people. You can get them into the system and let the system spit out the weak ones. So you got to get to the point where you're not trading time for money. See, in a job, you work 2 weeks and get paid once for that 2 weeks. Once. Never again to be paid for that 2 weeks. But see, in Symmetry, you can do something once and get paid for years and years for doing that something once. Look, I recruited This guy that I ran into outside a coffee shop in 2006, this guy wound up recruiting a friend of his in Sacramento, California, who recruited a friend of hers in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, who recruited a friend of his in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, who recruited a friend of his in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that friend was Tom Chisholm, who wound up bringing us Ashley Tarr, Sarah Pappas, who brought us Sarah Pappas. So if you look at this is what's crazy, because this will happen to more than one person. That one guy outside the coffee shop who didn't make it, by the way, he was responsible last year. This was 2006. But because of who he recruited, and who they recruited, he was, of the 20 million that my agency wrote last year, this one guy outside the coffee shop was responsible for right at 17 million of it. It doesn't take 1,000 people. It takes 2 or 3 of the right kind of people, and you can build a monster agency within Symmetry Financial Group. So I recruited Tom Chisholm 13 years ago and have been paid every week for 13 years because of something I did once. So that's why Symmetry. Here's another reason, because at Symmetry, you can build something that you can own. Look, I worked at Exxon 16 years. I could have worked there 200 years and I wouldn't own it. But I've owned my agency here for a long time. And once again, I can build me a little bitty agency, or I can build me a big old gigantic agency. And I'm going to tell you, little helps nobody. Little helps nobody. Doesn't help that many clients, doesn't have to help that many agents. I want to help a lot of people. So I own my agency. And I've got 32 agents in my master agency that now own their agency. I'm telling you, you just can't get this kind of stuff anywhere. Symmetry offers you the opportunity to grow yourself as a leader, which is, look, what you have to do. You have to become a leader here if you're going to build something. People aren't going to follow somebody that doesn't know where they're going, that walks around in circles. So they have conference calls, they have training calls, they have Zoom boot camps now. All of this stuff allows you to be around people who are striving to get better. And it's going to inspire some of y'all to strive to get better. I know that this company was built and it was founded in 2009 by 3 high character, high integrity people in Brandon, Bryan, and Casey. See, they had a goal of building a company that had the client first, agent second, and company third. I know that in 10 years, 11 now, it's gone from 0 to doing what, 140 million, something like that. I know that Symmetry is a vehicle that'll take you wherever you want to go financially at a speed determined by you. Good news for some of us, bad news for some of y'all. At a speed determined by you if you learn how to drive it. I know that Symmetry is not about making money as much as they are about making a difference. And I know that the best thing I can do for Symmetry is to become the best me I can become. So how are we going to do that? Okay, how are we going to become the best we can become? Because, see, as you become, you're going to have the opportunity to go from financial dependence, which is bad for you, to financial independence, which is good for you, to financial impact, which is good for the people that you want to make a difference in their life. So that's why Symmetry is where you need to be. But how are you going to take advantage of what this thing has to offer? Okay, because and this is what I didn't understand. All of this stuff I'm saying is stuff that I didn't know at one time. I didn't understand it. I just thought maybe that you could show up and put a little work in and everything be great. It doesn't work that way. See, winning doesn't work that way anywhere. There are certain things you have to do to win, no matter what you're trying to win at. And so some of the stuff that I'm going to talk to you about is stuff that I have learned. Most of this stuff, understand this, most of the stuff that I'm fixing to tell you, I learned the hard way. But here's something I learned. Some people, because I want to talk about how you can win here, okay? Because it takes certain stuff. You can't just get in your car and start driving and win. You got to do certain stuff. But some people in America are immovable. You can't move them. Some people are movable. And some people are people movers. See, Marshall and Edward and the Smith brothers and Brian Delaney and Linwood and on are people movers. They have become people movers. We need more people movers here. But see, to be a people mover, you're going to have to become a leader. And that's going to involve doing certain things. Number one, you got to listen a lot. You have to listen a lot. See, you got to operate on your upline thought process, because problems can't be solved by the same level of thinking that created them. And most of what we call problems are things that we created. So you have to listen to those people who are where you want to go. They have made the journey you're trying to make. So number one, you got to listen a lot. Number two, you got to work. You got to work. 4-letter word. Go out and do it wrong long enough until you learn how to do it right. And that's a problem with a lot of people. They don't want to do something wrong. See, they want to build their ship and then sail. This is a business where you build your ship as you sail. A lot of people don't want to do that. So they're still on the shore. But do it wrong enough times until you learn how to do it right. Produce enough personally to pay your monthly bills. Then, if you want, build an agency. And understand that winning is always on the other side of problems. Winning never comes without drama, without stress, without problems. Never, ever. So you got to work. And number three, you got to get results. See, this is a result business. It doesn't matter what you intended to do or thought you were going to do or wanted to do or told people you were going to do. None of that matters. Results is what you actually do. This is the product of your efforts. And see, you got to get results in your S quadrant, which is a self-employed quadrant, which means you need to be writing business. And you need to get results in your B quadrant, which is your business quadrant, which means that you're attracting people to yourself and your business. So you got to do that. You got to get results. Look, you can't just keep showing up every day and getting on 100 calls a week and your numbers don't change. It's all about your numbers. Number four, you got to stay plugged in. So you got to stay plugged in to your growing upline, to the conference calls, to group me, to any events, Zoom, but stay plugged in. Unplug a light and see what happens. It goes out. Same thing with people. Number five, you got to handle negativity and move forward. This is a struggle for some people, a lot of people. I mean, there are negative people out there. You do understand that some people just marinate in their misery. You can't get in their misery with them. See, negative people have a problem for every solution. They believe that success is just failure that hadn't happened yet. This is how they are. You can't be around negative people. You can't afford to catch what they have. And the best way to not be around them is to be positive. See, negative people don't like being around positive people. There was a time, I had a sister who was probably one of the most negative people I've ever seen in my life. She actually told the rest of my family, don't invite Danny to the family reunion. He's too happy. That's a heck of an attitude to walk around with your life, isn't it? But that's how negative people are. So just be positive and you won't have negative people around you. It's just like when you turn the light switch on, darkness leaves. So just keep the light switch in your life on, you'll become a people mover. So that's what we need to do. But talking about leadership, see, and you can read, this is one thing I'm going to talk about. Reading is incredibly important. because you can read leadership books, you can read people that have become leaders, read about them. But, you know, one of my favorite people is John Maxwell. Most of y'all know that. But see, leadership, let me tell you what I think leadership is, okay? See, I don't think leadership is about what you teach your people. It's about where you take your people. And we have a lot of people in Symmetry, they just, I mean, they train till the cows come home. It's unbelievable how much training they do. When leadership is inspiring people, it's influencing people, it's not teaching people. But Maxwell talks about leadership. He says you have to become a follower first, because it's hard to develop what you refuse to be. And so if you're not a good follower, you're not going to develop good followers. Number two, he said you got to let go of your ego, because great leaders are not here for personal gain, but they're here to serve others. Number three, you build personal relationships. People won't go along with people they don't get along with. Four, you have to have a spirit of excellence. No one respects or follows mediocrity. You got to be a peak performer even when you don't feel like it. And number five, you got to empower others. See, when we recruit people, we go to work for them. They don't go to work for us. We go to work for them. It's our job to earn our overrides. It's our job to help people become successful. And the more successful that our people become, the more successful we become. That's our job. See, the key to effective leadership is not to focus on making others follow, but in being the kind of person they want to follow. That's why you have to grow yourself. See, one thing about my team will tell you, this guy ain't got but one message. And they're right. I got one message. You got to get bigger and you got to get better. That's it. That is, to me, that is what this company is all about. You get bigger and you get better. And you get better by reading, by associating, by struggling. I'm going to talk about all that stuff. But you get bigger by attracting people to you and your management philosophy, how you run your business. You're not going to be attracted to leads and contracts and all this kind of stuff as much as they're going to be attracted to you and how you run your business and what you're trying to get accomplished here. So that's about leadership. See, I think a huge part, because you understand that this is a business where you can come here, you can do this till you're 100 years old if you want to. If you want to. We don't do anything physically hard. And now this, like all virtual, we really don't do anything that's physically hard. But the key to your success going forward is going to be almost totally determined by how well you develop the 5 or 6 inches between your ears. It's all about mindset. This is a mental business. It's not a physical business. It's a mental business. The reason Marshall Whalen and Edward Pritchett are where they are is because they have developed themselves into two people that are mentally incredibly strong. Mentally strong. It's going to be your mindset, your paradigm, how you look at things, how you process things, how you think. That's what's going to determine your success. Because understand this, understand that people come to us with a mindset already. You know, some of them come here with a employee mindset. They've had a job their entire life. Well, there's a difference between an employee mindset and an employer mindset. People come here with a victim mindset instead of an owner mindset. They come here with a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. And see, the people that show up with an employee mindset, they're used to somebody telling them when to show up, when to go home, get the same check every 2 weeks. This is nothing like that. So we have to help them change that mindset. A lot of people come here with a victim mindset where they think their lot in life is a result of somebody else's decision. It's either their boss or their job or the government, whatever. And so they have a victim mindset. We have to change that. And then a lot of people come here with a scarcity mindset where they don't think there's enough to go around because they just don't know. So if you're in any of those three mindsets, or your people when they show up here, we have to help them change that. And we're going to help them change it if they're coachable and willing to put in the work. So here's some of the things that you'll learn that will help change your mindset or your people's mindset. Number one is the value of reading. It is unbelievable how few books people read once they get out of school. I mean, it's an astonishing number. And every book that you could read that would guarantee your success has already been written. You just got to find it. And you need to find somebody who writes, who resonates with your brain, that when they say something, when you read those words, it means something to it. And it imparts a small change in your brain. Maxwell does that for me. Jim Rohn does that for me. But you got to find what resonates with you. But you got to buy the books, read the books, use the books, teach the books. It's one of the very best ways to grow yourself. I talked about getting bigger. Reading is I think the simplest way to grow yourself. And I read a lot. I read a lot of biographies, because it just does something for me to realize that every single successful person in the world struggled before they became successful. Every one of them. So it makes it okay that I've struggled, because they did too, but they didn't quit. So the value of reading is incredibly important. Second one is the value of association. Look, you become who you hang with. I like being around Symmetry leaders so I can learn not what they're doing, is so I can learn how they think, because the way they think has gotten them where they are. Not what they're doing, it's the way they think. Everything starts with your thinking. So the value of association is powerful. And listen to me, here's a hard one for a lot of you new people. The power of disassociation is just as important. If you've got people in your life, and you will have, who don't want you to win, they want you to not do this. It's a cult. You don't want to be in the insurance business, for God's sake. What they're really saying is, please don't go off and be successful and leave me here looking worse than I was before. They want you to stay there and be just like them. See, I don't have people in my life anymore that aren't clapping for me, that aren't pulling for me, that don't want me to be successful. I don't have those people in my life. It's my choice. I don't. And that includes friends and family. They all had a chance to come go with me. All of them did. And most of them didn't. I can't help that. So the power of disassociation is incredibly important. And that's what gets a lot of people. They let people who gave up on their dreams talk them out of theirs. And that's sad. Number three is the value of teamwork. You understand, everybody here helps everybody else. There's no secrets here. Marshall will get on the call and tell y'all every single thing that he does. Edward does the same thing. Delaney does the same thing. Everybody tells you what they're doing. No secrets. Then there's the value of personal growth. See, the bigger you grow the bigger your business will grow. The value of self-discipline. Let me tell you what self-discipline is. It's the ability to take action regardless of your emotional state, your financial state, or your physical state. Self-discipline is being able to put the work in when it's raining crap. That's what self-discipline is. So you understand that success is never owned. It is only rented, and the rent is due every day. So the value of self-discipline is really what separates those who can from those who can't, because discipline drives what you do, and desire drives discipline. So how self-disciplined somebody's going to be is going to be dependent on what they want. And I don't think we spend nearly enough time, most of us, thinking about what we want. Self-discipline is incredibly important. Number 6 is the value of struggle. Look, this is my favorite. I read somewhere that every problem introduces a person to themselves. Struggle makes us face who we are and where we are. And here's what I've learned over time. Because there were times in my life where the struggle was so bad that I would actually go outside and just scream at the sky. Like there's 6 billion people on earth. Can you give some of this crap to somebody else? Why do I get it all? Here's what I learned. Struggle is your friend. Struggle makes you stronger, not weaker. So when you struggle with something and you get through that something, you're stronger. You're able to handle the next struggle, and then you get stronger, and you get to the point where you can't be knocked down anymore. But see, what we do with the experience of struggle defines who we become. One of life's lessons I learned, I didn't like learning this one, is that you don't get to choose what happens to you, but you have total control over how you respond to what happens to you. And see, Symmetry's got a lot of struggles. For you new people, look, here's some that you're going to go through. The struggle of inexperience. You don't know what you're doing. I despised insurance. I despised sales. It was such a struggle for me to go from knowing nothing to knowing a little bit. And I was god awful when I started. But I worked and worked and worked, and people helped me, and they coached me, and they guided me, and they kept me between the ditches, and I put in the work. And over time, I became mediocre. And then I became decent. And I just kept working until I became proficient. But inexperience, you don't know what you're doing. Then there's incompetence where you're bad at what you're doing. I was there for a long time. Then there's a struggle of disappointment because, look, everybody's not going to come work with you. Everybody's not going to give you an appointment. Everybody's not going to buy from you. And so you're going to get disappointed because somebody else made a bad decision. Makes no sense to me. But people struggle with that. See, you get disappointed in yourself and you get disappointed in other people. That's a struggle. You got to work your way through that. There's a struggle of frustration because it's not happening fast enough. Let me tell you a secret. It ain't happening fast enough for anybody here. And you got some people making millions and it still ain't happening fast enough for them. So there's that. There's a big struggle with change. Change, you need to get a tattoo saying this. Change is always painful. I don't care if you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to quit smoking, you're trying to build new habits. Change is painful, which is why most people struggle with change. Then there's the financial struggle. You may have feast or famine for a while. If you come here and you're a personal producer, you're going to have feast or famine. You're going to have good weeks, good months, bad months. It's the way it is. That's the law of the land here. But see, the bigger the agency let me say it this way. When you recruit and train people to do what you do, what it does for you is it smooths out your ride. You can have a bad week, but your people have a good week, and so you don't notice the difference. That's why you want to build, so it's not all on you. But you're going to come in here, you're going to have a financial struggle from time to time. Once again, makes you stronger. Makes you appreciate when you finally do smooth out that ride and you're making money. Then you got the struggle of responsibility. If you're going to build a team, you got to learn how to spin plates. Because there's going to be a lot of, problems are not going to come at you single file. And most of them are people problems. Those people that can solve the most problems are going to make the most money. So you need to rejoice in that you have that struggle, okay? Because you get better at it. And then you're going to have the struggle of relationship losses because you may have to leave behind friends and family that don't want to go. But here's what I know about struggle. The absolute best outcome for any struggle is growth. So embrace the struggle. Look, struggle makes you stronger. Rejoice in the toughness. Look, it separates those who will from those who won't. If you want to make a lot of money, and look, it doesn't have to be here, but if you want to make a lot of money, just find something that the majority of people either need or want. That's all you have to do. And find something that most people can't do. You understand that underwater welders make a lot of money. They do, but their life expectancy is about 30 years old, something like that. This thing is hard, but it's hard only because we deal with people. That's the only reason it's hard. So if you get better in that area, see, I like people to get better in the people skills area way more than the product skills area. Some of y'all know every product of every company out here, but you don't know diddly about some of your people. Products are pennies, people are dollars. You want to learn something? Learn about people. But the struggle is what molds you into the person you must become in order to win here, plain and simple. The important thing here is not the money you make, but who you become while you're making it. That's the cool thing. That's why we got so many awesome people running this thing, is because of who they became. So don't count the times you get knocked down. Count the times you get back up, okay? That's just super cool. And then there's a value of self-image. See, we're a self-image company, and most people come here with bad self-images. I say most, it's a bunch, okay? Maxwell says that every aspect of our lives is impacted by the way we see ourselves. We worry so much about what other people think, other people are saying, other people this, other people that. What you ought to be concerned about is what you're thinking about yourself, what you're saying about yourself. Because you can't control what other people say or what other people think, but you can control what you say and what you think. But Maxwell says you can do very few things in a positive way if you feel negative about yourself. Self-esteem is a big deal. You know, the easiest way to improve your self-esteem is to do something for someone else. That deal about, you know, a Boy Scout helping a little old lady across the street, you could do that. You could buy somebody a coffee at Starbucks or something. Every little thing you do for somebody else makes you feel better about you. And the better you feel about yourself, the more attractive you're going to become to other people. And we're in the attraction business. You don't have to be pretty. You just have to be attractive. You need to look like somebody who feels good about themselves, who's going somewhere. See, you're driving your bus. You want people to get on your bus and go with you where you're going. But in order for that to happen, they got to believe that your bus is going somewhere. You got to look like you're going somewhere. See, Ed Pritchett doesn't feel good about himself because he's got a strong agency. Edward has a strong agency because he feels good about himself. Ralph Waldo Emerson said that what lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters compared to what lies within us. See, everything you need to win at Symmetry is inside of you right now. We just want you to stick around long enough to help to let us get that stuff out of you. But a lot of people don't. The person you are today, right now, that's me, you, everybody on this call. The person you are today is the person that got you where you are today, right now. That person cannot get you to a bigger and better place. You have to grow you for that to happen. Isn't that depressing? So here's the challenge. Growth means change. Change means pain. Change is a struggle. But see, most people focus on the struggle, not the victory. That's why most people don't change. But understand this, if you don't decide what your life's going to look like, somebody else is going to decide it for you. Is that what you want? I remember at Exxon one time, my boss called me into his office one day. He was sitting in his chair behind his desk. And he said to me, one day soon, you're going to be sitting in this chair. I got all excited. I said, really? He said, yep. He said, I ordered me a new one. That wasn't what I was looking for, see? I had to change. You have to change. You have to grow. You have to associate with people who have a vested interest in your success. You are the landlord of your head. You decide who rents space up there. You do. And I'm going to tell you, who gets your time and who gets your money defines your life. You ought to track that sometimes. Who gets your time and who gets your money defines your life. And most people, and I'll tell you, attitude is like everything. You've heard that a million times. But understand this, we all have 5 senses: touch, taste, sight, smell, hearing. 5 senses. Also understand that 4 out of the 5 senses don't work when you got your head up your butt. That's what most people do a lot of times. They just need to understand that everything is a choice. When my people talk to me, they'll all tell you this. I don't let them say certain. I correct them when they say things like, I am so frustrated, or so-and-so made me so mad. No, listen to me. You're choosing to be frustrated. You're choosing to let somebody make you mad. That's a choice. You have one brain and one brain only. You control that brain. Nobody else does. You can't let somebody frustrate you. You can't let somebody make you mad. You choose to do that. Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you choose to have a good attitude, or choose to be positive, or choose to work hard, or choose to go through the struggle so your family can benefit from all that Symmetry has to offer. Choose to grow yourself. I mean, you have control of the rest of your life today. You have control of what it looks like. And yet, what do most people do? Most people let somebody else write their story. I talked about this at conference, I don't know, a year or 2 ago. You understand that when you have a job, they write your story. They write your story, not you. You basically tell your employer, here is my life. Tell me what I can do with it. And when somebody else determines your income, they determine how you live your life, where you live, what you drive, where your kids go to school, where you shop, where you go on vacation, even how long you can stay on vacation, by what they pay you. But your story won't write itself. Either you write it or somebody else going to write it for you. That means if you don't decide how your life is going to look like, somebody else is going to decide it for you. Is that what you want? And see, the biggest problem with letting somebody else write your story is that they don't care how it ends. I started writing my story in 1984 when I got in the insurance business. Part-time. Once again, I didn't want to, but I wanted my kids to stay in private school. And Exxon didn't really care if my kids went to private school or if they went to school. So we struggled trying to pay tuition. But my story, let me give you a few of the chapters in my story, because your story is going to have some of the same chapters. Hopefully your chapters won't be as long as some of mine were. Same thing, chapter on inexperience, chapter on incompetence, chapter on disappointment, chapter on frustration, chapter on relationship losses, all those chapters. Had a huge chapter on struggle. But see, this was my story. I was writing it. And I knew if I could just keep pedaling, just persevere, just get up every day and work, just do the right things long enough, just get on it and stay on it, then I could write the best chapters. See, I could write the chapter on victory. I could write the chapter on winning. I could write the chapter on on impact. The chapter on building a company within a company. The chapter where I'm in business for myself, but not by myself. The chapter where in 5 years we could build an agency that we own, that will stay in our family for generations, and will determine in large part how our grandchildren's grandchildren get to live. How about that chapter? Where I could become not the person I was destined to be, but the person I decided to be. Just understand your story is going to be your story. It's not going to be easy for you to write. You can't write the chapter on victory without writing the other chapters before it. It's your story. It's your life. You write it. And see, if you write your story with symmetry, you can write the ending that you want. But you write it. Just write it well. So I talked about earlier why symmetry. Let me talk about why now. Why right now is this a good time to be here? Because look, This thing's 11 years old. Some of y'all are saying, man, I wish I'd have got here when Edward got here. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because I'm going to tell you this, it's been too hard. It would have chewed you up and spit you out. It took an incredible human being back in those days, like Linwood Watkins. Incredible. So why now? Because there's never been a better time ever. Look at the way things are in America. There's roughly 200 million people between the baby boomers, the Generation Xers, and the millennials. 200 million. Most of them financially unhappy. Now, before COVID, there were around 140 million people employed in the United States. 1 out of 100 worked for Walmart. 1 out of 100. There's $3 trillion in consumer debt in this country. In 1950, there was 0. There's $3 trillion in consumer debt, not counting mortgages. 3 trillion. Look, this is 12 zeros, 4 commas. It's a big number. A million seconds is 12 days. A million. A trillion seconds is 31,700 years. It's a big number, and there's 3 trillion. This is why people say we can't seem to get ahead, because you're not going to get ahead. You're paying 12 to 24% interest on your credit cards, and you're earning 0.6% on your savings account. You cannot mathematically get ahead. Debt is what's choking people. Debt is what's causing families to break up. Debt is bad, and we can solve that. That's just one of the areas we operate in. Mortgage companies lend you $200,000, you pay back $600,000 over 30 years. I love this one. Banks made about a $40 billion, that's a B, $40 billion profit last year just in ATM fees and overdraft charges. How about those numbers? In 2007, in the United States, the average family net worth was $135,000. In 2019, the average family net worth was $76,000. Almost half. This is what's out there. This is what we deal with. This is our market. The majority of baby boomers, which I am one, are going to have to work till they die because they can't afford to retire. How in the world are you going to retire on 50% of what you can't live on 100% on? The math doesn't work. But see, in the midst of all that financial misery, there's symmetry. And here's a sandbox we get to play in. The insurance industry. It's a $8 to $9 trillion industry that can't give money away fast enough to people who can bring them clients. Think about that. They pay agents to bring them clients. They will pay you and pay you and pay you as long as you bring them clients. We're in the mortgage protection business. There's 87 million mortgage holders, the vast majority of whom would like their family to continue living in that home paid off if something unexpected happened to the breadwinner. 87 million. Last year, we protected, 140,000 out of 87 million. There's some left for y'all. You understand that we could protect 100,000 families a year. It would take us 87 years just to protect 10% of our market. So if you call somebody and they don't give you an appointment, don't quit. There's probably others that will. If you have an appointment and they don't buy from you, there's probably a few more out there who will buy from you. And that's just mortgage protection. How about retirement protection? The advanced markets. There's almost $5 trillion sitting in IRAs, $4 trillion sitting in 401ks. That money can be rolled into an indexed annuity with the license that everybody on this call already has, your insurance license. And then there's final expense business, 10,000 people a day turning 65, and that's going to continue for the next 12 years. That's the generation that doesn't want to leave any debt to their kids, so they'll buy a final expense insurance. They'll pay $100 a month for a $15,000 policy because they don't want to go fund me when they die. That's also the people that have money in 401ks and IRAs in the market losing money that will let you roll that money for them. And then we have DFL, where we can show people how to get out of debt. You understand that nobody knows how to get out of debt by themselves because they don't know how they got in debt. Debt is very subtle. You wake up one day and you're upside down and you spend the rest of your life being upside down. We can show people how to make that go away in 9 years or less. There's not a person that you pass on the street that can't use one of the products that we have. So that's why now is the time. And look, that doesn't even include the producer bonus, the capital bonus, the equity bonus, the equity appreciation rights. We got a Sherpa bonus. We got new agent bonuses. This is silly stuff that look, it's a money buffet. You can walk up to it as you're willing to work for. But see, sadly, it's not ever going to be easy enough for some people. They're not going to bring it to you. You got to earn it. That's what I love about this thing. They don't care. Look, they don't care if you're 67 or you're 18. You put in the work, you're going to get rewarded. They don't care what you have or have not done up to this point in your life. Don't care. What they want to know is, can you do this? Can you do it right? Can you follow the system? Can you work hard? Do you have a good attitude? Are you coachable? That's all they want to know. Because if you're those things, you become those things, you win. They know this. 100% of the time, you win. So let me end with this. Why you? Let's talk about you. See, I like talking to new people. And I don't know how many new people on this call, but I might have scared some of them off. See, new people are the ones still trying to see if this will work. Because everybody comes here hoping it will. They hope it will. They talk to you, they interviewed with you, they saw a corporate overview, whatever. And they hope it'll work. But see, you have to go through the process of learning the system, making mistakes, improving your skills in order to get to a place where you know this will work for you. But once again, you're going to have to accept some things that you haven't had to accept before. I mean, you have to accept the fact that you're responsible for where you are right now. You are. I'm responsible for where I am. This is a hard pill for people to swallow. You are where I am, where we're all supposed to be right now in this moment of time because of the decisions that we've made up to this point. So wherever you are, it's your fault. Not your mama, not the government, not your job, not your spouse. It's you. It's me. All based on choices. So if you can accept that wherever you are, that you drove yourself there, then it's possible, if you don't like where you are, you can drive yourself someplace else. But see, if you're a victim and you blame where you are on somebody else or something else, and you have to wait on somebody else or something else to come get you and take you to another place. You are the CEO of your Symmetry business. Day one, you're the CEO. You can build an agency, once again, fast as you want, with whoever you want, wherever you want, as big as you want. But if you want to grow an agency, you got to grow yourself. There's no other way. See, if you want to attract big people to your agency, you want big players, you got to play a big game. Big players are not attracted to a small game. That's why you got to grow yourself so that big people are attracted to you. The person you are today is the person who got you where you are today. That person can't get you where you want to go. I can't emphasize that enough. And so look, here's the cool part. Who you are today is a result of certain things. What you've read, what you've listened to, who you listened to, who you've hung with, the events you've attended, and the effort you put into developing yourself. So if you want to change who you are, you change what you read. what you listen to, who you listen to, who you hang with, the events you attend, and the effort you put in developing yourself. Just that simple. Just that simple. Because I think it comes down to this. 4 words. What do you want? Because what you want determines what you do. And what you do determines what you get. See, not what you meant to do or thought about doing or wish you had done or was going to do, but something came up. What you do determines what you get. So if you're not getting what you thought you should get, or you're not getting as much as you thought you should get, or you're not getting as fast as you thought you should get it, it's because you didn't do what you needed to do for those things to happen. And understand this, the bigger the prize, the bigger the price. This is simple math. See, this is why everybody doesn't drive a Mercedes or a BMW. The price is too high for them. That's why everybody doesn't win financially. The price is too high for them. See, winners aren't concerned about the price because they stay focused on the prize. And that's why people fail here. They come here all excited. They want to do this. Watch me, coach. You've never seen anybody like me. Watch my smoke. I'm going to be unbelievable. And then they get smacked in the mouth. And all of a sudden, they forget why they came here. They took their eyes off the prize. They started focusing on the pain. You'd be shocked at what you can accomplish when there's something important waiting for you at the end of your effort. Shocked. But most people can't keep their eyes on the prize. They're going to focus on the pain. All they're going to see is obstacles and distractions because they're not looking at their prize. You keep your eyes on the prize, you don't see obstacles and distractions. You don't, because you see your prize. I'm going to do today what I have to do today because I'm trying to get down there. I don't worry 2 seconds about today, not 2 seconds, because I got somewhere I'm trying to get. I want my grandchildren's grandchildren to know who I was. And I've got to put in the effort for that to happen because I don't know. None of us know how long we're going to be here. So work on you. You have to grow. You have to change. You have to become stronger. You have to become tougher. You have to become more, plain and simple. So here's my wish for you, new people, that you decide to stay and fight with us, that you decide that being like most people is no longer an option for you, that you decide that your family is more important than your fears, that you decide that the road most travel leads to nowhere, that you decide to grow yourself into a person of influence, that you understand, this was incredibly important to me and Sandy, that you understand that your children are passengers in your life and how you live yours will have a big impact on how theirs turns out. That you decide to embrace the struggle and enjoy the journey, that you decide to become the best you that there is, and that you decide to capitalize on all the things Symmetry has to offer in order to design your own life, to write your own story. Then you'll have a lifestyle, not just a life. I appreciate y'all staying on. Those of y'all that stayed on, everybody have a great week. We got 7 weeks, I think, left in this year. Let's make it an epic, epic, epic 7 weeks. Thank y'all so much. Bye-bye.